Norway. How is an European country with less than 6 million people so rich both in nature and in money? We're about to find out now. Before we begin, if you are a Norwegian citizen, sorry if I butcher some names, and please tell me if the information in this video is correct.
A nation with more reindeer than people is outcompeting pretty much every country on Earth. While oil plays a part, other oil nations like Venezuela are miles away from the same success, maybe due to a complete lack of reindeer. Norway dominates in rankings ranging from being top 10 in the world in terms of wealth to lack of...
Hold on, so a couple of things. First, since we're on YouTube, Norway advertisements, Norwegian advertisers are the ones that pay almost the most in the world. Second, a lot of countries have oil indeed, but none of them manage to utilize their oil collections in order to make a lot of money, and Norway is definitely killing it on that side.
Of corruption to being among the happiest in the world. But why? Why did this cold, reindeer-filled place become so extremely prosperous? Well, the answer is something.
It's because it's beautiful. Look at this. They have the sea and the mountains on the same place. It's not that reason, but it's definitely a beautiful place where they value their educational system and their healthcare system.
Thing called the Nordic model. But if this model is such a recipe for success, why isn't every country using it, especially when it's so very effective? Well, it's a bit complicated, but this Viking nation's path to prosperity started even before their oil discovery. Chapter 1. Birth of the Nordic model. While ahead of the curve in many ways at the start of the 20th century, the small export-orientated nation would be beat up pretty badly by the Great Depression. This was the worst economic crisis in the 20th century, and it would bully Norway throughout the early 30s. Norway relied on...
What were these people training for?
...exports and was therefore hit hard by the global economic downturn. Farms and small businesses were closed. People became homeless and unemployment soared. At its worst, organized trade union members had an unemployment rate of 33%. The Norwegians started to get desperate and the population entered a state of widespread social unrest. As the future looked uncertain, some even decided to leave Norway behind, often heading
we all went through this in 1935.
For the US. These emigres were often able-bodied, resourceful young people which are essential to a nation's workforce and economy. Additionally, politically extreme parties on both sides of the spectrum started gaining traction, and the outlook for the small nation was bleak. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. While the nation sustained heavy damage, it was here the foundation for its current success was laid. The government was in a difficult position, as it had to both solve the economic problems and the social unrest in the nation. Often credited to the Labour Party, which I won't even try to pronounce, government spending on direct support for...
Let me try to pronounce it. Hold on. Arbeidspart... Never mind.
Government spending on direct support for the people significantly increased. In other words, a welfare state started forming. Chapter 2. The welfare state. So
far they didn't say anything different than any European country. We all suffered from the Great Depression.
Part of the Nordic model and something that would be heavily expanded upon in the latter half of the 1900s. Employment benefits were introduced on a larger scale, and existing benefits were expanded upon. The Norwegian population also got food assistance, which helped feed vulnerable parts of the population.
My guess is that this so-called food assistance is the coupons that people were getting back in the 60s, 70s and 80s. Instead of getting paid at their job, they were getting food coupons, and the lucky people were also getting some salary, but it was not enough to feed the whole family.
Temporary relief and housing support programs were also implemented, which helped people keep roofs over their heads. With widespread poverty, food shortages and outright desperation, feeding and supporting people helped stabilize the country. As the decades passed, Norway kept building upon its existing policies and initiatives, slowly creating this vital part of the Nordic model.
Yeah, you can see the coupons there.
While the system has evolved and changed from what it once was in the 1930s, the core thought:
free food and clothing for children of unemployed
remain. To keep the nation and its people stable and safe, you need to support those who need it the most. Clashes between social classes in society are mostly caused by desperation. By ensuring that the lower classes are supported and lifted into society instead of excluded, society stays cohesive and stable. While logical on paper,
did they even have a middle class back then, man? It looks like everyone is just poor. So many poor people on the streets. I don't think I've seen this in the age we live in.
This solution also comes with a drawback. It's extremely expensive. Norway, however, argues that while the system is costly, the cost of homelessness, potentially more violence, and higher unemployment would cost even more in the long run. So to avoid this, Norway has a no-man-left-behind approach, ensuring that people who are down on their luck are integrated back into society. If you lose your job, for example, unemployment benefits will support you while you try to find a new one. A common misconception is that a comprehensive and generous welfare state would incentivize a population which tries to live off welfare.
So look at where Norway was, and they offer this way of unemployed people to have money. We also have this thing in Bulgaria, but as every European / Slavic country, we abuse it. I mean, a lot of people abuse it. They go to work for a couple of months just so they can go on this market, trading market, that they are gonna be paid to be unemployed. Yes, you get paid the minimum wage or a percentage of your past wage, but still people found a way to abuse it. It's made for the people that cannot, literally, they cannot find jobs. And now it's corruption, man. I don't even want to explain it in detail how it works in Bulgaria, but Norway managed to fix that.
But while the welfare is quite generous, the conditions for being eligible for welfare are quite strict. You'll get welfare after losing your job, but only while actively searching for a new one.
Yes, we have this same rule.
The point is to help people stay afloat in difficult times, not allow people to live off government support. You can look at it this way: instead of getting paid to be unemployed, you're getting paid to apply for jobs.
It is supposed to be like that, but here it's you're getting paid to be unemployed. But at the same time, you have to pay taxes on everything as well.
In this way, Norway achieves a more cohesive society where the lower classes are helped up into the middle class, and where there is less social division. The focus on cohesion and integration is also found in the healthcare and education system, which is mostly completely free. The thought is that by providing people with the same opportunities through healthcare and education, society will become more equal as well.
And this is definitely the key to success: free education and free healthcare.
The Norwegian people all get access to the same education, regardless of their socio-economic background. By removing financial barriers such as tuition fees, students are not limited in their educational choices based on their financial circumstances. Healthcare is similar in arrangement. Norway won't settle for a situation where people stay sick to avoid paying for healthcare. Instead, healthcare is provided, which ensures an overall more healthy and therefore more productive workforce.
And here, when you are sick, most of the times, unless you are totally done, you have to go to work, because if you stay at home sick, the money that you're gonna get paid for your sick to leave days are so little that people just feel forced to go to work when they are dying, actually.
While making society more equal as well. The costly welfare system is funded by the nation's famously high taxes. The top personal income tax is at an absurd 38.2%, which is...
Yeah, I think this tax in Bulgaria is 10% with addition to the 20%, 30 total.
Is at the lowest point in the last 20 years. But these taxes are not simply a means to pay for the welfare state. They also help redistribute wealth through the nation's progressive system. Norway focuses on cohesion within its society and trying to boost the nation's poorer classes.
There is nothing bad about taxes when the government is not stealing all the money, and in the case of Norway, they are redistributing it into the country and into the people, so it's fine to have high taxes in this case.
By having a progressive tax system, which means that the more you earn, the more you are taxed, more of the wealth from richer classes is funneled into the state. In other words,
is how it should
aiming
work.
to minimize the divide between rich and poor in the nation. But despite the very high taxes, the Norwegians on average see taxes in a positive light. This is due to the visible effect of their taxes. The aforementioned free healthcare and education are all very prominent in daily life. Seeing the effect that...
Can you imagine that there are people in this world that are like, oh yeah, I just got 38% tax, now I can pay for the healthcare and education and everyone is gonna benefit from my job. I'm happy to stay at my country to work as a slave. No, just to work. They are happy, man. Probably they really are.
Taxes have on their daily life so often makes them a lot easier to pay as well. It evokes a sense of pride, knowing that you're contributing to society. Chapter 3,
Indeed.
Norway's Great Compromise.
This is the way that taxes should be working, making people feel that they are helping. Man, I cannot speak today. They are helping their own country.
The Great Compromise is an agreement between Norwegian labour unions, employers and employees in Norway, which decided the framework for the labour market. Employees would be guaranteed fair salaries, limited working hours and high working conditions. The employers, on the other hand, got the ability to hire and adjust their workforce as needed, which provides a massive boost of flexibility and adaptability in business. Additionally, if a Norwegian employee was let go, they would be supported by the welfare state. All in all, creating a win-win situation. Employees enjoy job security and decent working conditions, while employers have the flexibility to manage their workforce efficiently.
And again, for my Norwegian viewers and subscribers, is it true that the working day is less than 8 hours? Is the working week less than 5 days? How many paid to leave days do you usually get per year? That's important stuff to know.
Leading to economic growth and stability. The system has led to less strikes and better conditions across the board. Norway does not have a minimum wage, as the wage for different jobs is continuously being readjusted and discussed by the involved parties.
Even comprehend how this
discussion
works.
Between unions, employers and employees to ensure that all parties are happy and functioning at their best. And this all happens without interference from the Norwegian state. The Great Compromise also includes politics, and here it focuses on cooperation as an
How do they function without having a minimum wage? Who defines what the wage is?
Most priority, instead of a polarized political climate with political parties clashing on every issue. Norway and its politicians seek compromises and agreements. The nation has understood that in order to stay stable and not make politics divisive, the politicians and political parties themselves have to collaborate. There are few countries like Norway where the politicians from parties on each side of the political spectrum can be seen having a friendly cup of coffee. The likelihood of seeing Trump and Biden do that is rather low.
That
Why
would
not
be
replicate
interesting
the
to see.
entire system in other nations? Why let Norway and its Scandinavian neighbours sit alone at the top? Chapter 4. Values. Well, the reason that it works so well is the unique set of values in the Norwegian population. You see, the Norwegian people have a special kind of trust in each other and in their governments, which is hard to replicate.
It's hard to believe this. Now I want to move to Norway.
While another nation might be able to copy the Norwegian system on paper, making it work in praxis is another beast entirely. Introducing massive taxes and restructuring people's view of politics, not to mention how politics work, is extremely difficult, if not impossible. The Norwegian system works so well for Norway because it makes use of the trust within the Norwegian people.
So it sounds a little bit absurd, but according to this video, Norwegian people love helping their country by paying high taxes. They love their government, they trust each other. It's amazing. Maybe this is the key to success, who knows. We should try and replicate. With this said, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, for the super crazy people, you can click the join button here or send a super thanks. Huge thank you for those who already managed to click those buttons. I'll see you in the next one.